Hi everyone, Mrs. McBain here. Today we're going to be learning about writing and evaluating expressions. So let's take a look and see what we're doing today. So our first one says, let's see, it's got some instructions for us. It says, read the story problems, identify what the unknown quantity is, and write the expression as described. Okay, well, let's take a look at what we've got here. So it says Ryan has 2 more footballs than Hayden. Okay. So we've got to identify the unknown quantity. Well, what we don't know is how many footballs does Hayden have? We don't have a clue. So let's start with our description. So we'll say H is for Hayden. So we need to figure out how many footballs does he have before we can find out how many footballs Ryan has. So our expression for that is going to look like H plus 2. Remember, Ryan has 2 more footballs than Hayden. So in order to find this out, we have to figure out how many footballs does Hayden have. Okay, so our next column, well, that tells us Hayden has 7 footballs. Okay, so let's start by rewriting this. So we're going to say H plus 2 because that's where we started. Now we know that we can replace that H with a 7 because the next column says that Hayden has 7 footballs. So 7 plus 2, and of course 7 plus 2 equals 9. So that means that we can say that Ryan has 9 footballs. All right. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got next. Let's just clean that up a little bit. All right, so our next one, let's see, this one says, Macy wrote 8 more chapters than Sawyer in 6th grade. Okay, well, the unknown information is how many chapters did Sawyer write? So let's go ahead and write that out. So we would say that is, let's see, S is the number of chapters for Sawyer. All right. And so as we write that out as an expression, we would write that as S plus 8 because we have to figure out how many chapters Sawyer wrote before we can figure out how many Macy wrote. All right, and now this next one tells us that Sawyer wrote 10 chapters. All right, well, that's pretty good for 6th grade. So let's start by writing out our problem. So we started with our S plus 8. Now we can replace that S with 10 because it tells us that Sawyer wrote 10 chapters. So 10 plus 8. And 10 plus 8, of course, is 18. So that means that Macy wrote 18 chapters. All right, let's look at our next one. It says Layla has been dancing for 3 more years than Fallon. So our unknown information here is how many years has Fallon been dancing? Okay, well, we could say that F is the number of years for Fallon. All right. And to write that out as an expression so that we could figure out how many years Layla has been dancing, we would say F plus 8. All right. And now in our next column, we find out that Fallon has been dancing for 6 years. So let's rewrite our problem. So we started with F plus 8. All right. And, or I'm sorry, F plus 3, not F plus 8. Let me fix that here. Okay, there we go. So we have F plus 3. Okay, so that's the number of years that Fallon has been dancing, plus 3 more to tell us how many Layla's been dancing. Okay, so F plus 3, and now we find out that we can replace that F with a 6. So we'll have 6 plus 3, which of course equals 9. And now we can say that Layla has been dancing for 9 years. All right. Let's take a look at the last one here. Okay, this one looks a little more complicated. It says Astoria School scored 2 fewer goals than East. Astoria School scored 2 fewer goals than East. Well, we don't really know which one we're going to figure out here, but let's go ahead and start with East since we don't have a number associated with that one. So we'll say East is, or E is for East. Okay, so to figure this out for Astoria, we could say E minus 2 Okay, we're saying E minus 2 because we said that Astoria School scored 2 fewer goals than East. So we need to figure out how many goals East scored in order to solve our problem. And over here, it tells us East scored 3 goals last night. Okay, so we're start with our problem. So we had E minus 2. Okay, and now we find out that East actually scored 3. So we can replace that E with a 3. So 3 minus 2. Of course, 3 minus 2. There we go. And of course, 3 minus 2 equals 1. Okay, so we could say that Astoria scored 1. All right. So you just have to take a really careful look at the wording, make sure that you are lining up your numbers with the letters that they're associated with. All right, and this shouldn't be too bad. I hope you have a great day.